An idea can change the world, but so can a question. The curious, the creative and courageous, creating connections, seeing what others don't. We've connected cables to communicate, rotated drums to crack codes, and orbited the Earth to land on the moon.
Tech is meant to bring us together, right? Disrupt the status quo, to make things better, to give us hope.
Keeping us safe, secure, and prepared for the future. Revolutions catch people by surprise, when a need for change brings us together, unified. What if we return to exploration, innovation, and imagination? Change how we respond to our future and how we see and care for each other.
We can make a difference together.
If you improve something, then you only make it better. Now, if you want to make something different, you have to behave as if there is no such thing. Tech is all things new. It's powerful and it's ours to claim back. This is the digital revolution. This is our revolution.
Wow, what an opening, and thank you to all the staff, students and local businesses who have supported the production of our launch film. Wasn't it fantastic? And I'd also like to extend my thanks to everyone for joining us today. It's so exciting to be able to finally reach out to you and to share the plans for our amazing Institute of Technology. Those of you who have been part of our journey for a while will know that the genesis of this idea started back in 2017 actually, when we started to explore whether there'd be any opportunity to collaborate with our good friends at Bletchley Park Trust. The launch of the Institute of Technology bidding process provided us with the opportunity to develop the concept and bring it to life. And now, 3 years, 2 bidding rounds, 7 consortium partners and over 50 employer partners later, here we are. But where exactly is that? Well, the South Central Institute of Technology will bring over £20 million worth of funding directly into Bletchley, Oxford and Reading. We will train over 1,000 students per year, offering the digital skills we know that are so desperately needed across the Oxford, Milton Keynes and Cambridge Arc, to aid productivity and growth, and importantly to make sure that growth is inclusive. Our belief is that the South Central Institute of Technology will inspire those who believe tech can help play a positive part in our futures. It will inspire those who don't feel represented within the tech sector at the moment and drive ambition to those who don't believe higher education is for them. To those who've been with us on this journey so far, thank you for your enduring support. I hope you feel a sense of pride throughout this event today as we hear about the South Central IoT and how it is taking shape. To those joining us for the first time, welcome. Over the course of the next 45 minutes, I will be joined by our Institute of Technology Principal Alex Warner, our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Manager and actually all-round edu-blogger Arv Kaushal, and a number of experts to share their thoughts on the South Central Institute of Technology. We will hear from our first beta cohort of students studying at the IoT this year on their experiences so far. And we'll be joined by consortium colleagues from Microsoft and Evidence Talks to hear about the challenges they face in the digital sector and to hear how the sector has a diversity issue and what we can do to ensure opportunities are truly available to all. We will also hear from Sir Dermot Turing, nephew of Sir Alan Turing, on the tech legacy of Bletchley, plus John Adams on our campuses in Oxford and Reading. To kick us off, I was joined earlier by the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills, Gillian Keegan MP, to discuss her vision for the broader IoT movement. Just before that, let's watch a short film about IoTs.
Welcome to a place that's revolutionary, with top collaborations, standout values, and a commitment to filling the digital skills gap in the region. Who are we? We're the South Central Institute of Technology, a collaboration between further education providers, universities and employers We provide businesses with unrivaled and diverse talent, with a range of university-led qualifications, short courses, higher apprenticeships, and digital sector pathways. We prepare students for real-world problems and aim to transform the tech sector forever. It starts with attracting underrepresented groups, valuing people for their potential, not their background. Whether you're finishing school or college, have studied digital before, are working in the industry, or just want to try something new, we're the place for you. We aim to create a thriving tech community, giving everyone a unique opportunity to excel, to be anything ready.
Good afternoon, Minister Keegan. I'm so delighted that you've been able to join us for this Institute of Technology launch. We're launching virtually to students and staff, and we're really, really excited. And it's great to be able to hear directly from you, the policymaker, all about this fantastic initiative. So can I start by asking you really just to share your vision for Institutes of Technology and the role that you think and you hope, and we all hope, they're going to play in that higher skills landscape?
Well, thanks very much, Julie, and thank you very much for inviting me, and best of luck with your launch. I mean, what better could you get? Fantastic collaboration between FE colleges, universities, and employers, leading employers, to focus on those vital skills that we're really going to need to drive our economic success in the future. And, you know, it's clear to me when you look at some of the areas that IoTs are focusing on, not just your one, but the others as well. And all of them are really vital skills that are required and are going to be absolutely key in our future, whether that's advanced engineering, creative, digital, IT, cybersecurity, modern construction, fintech to agritech, and transport and infrastructure engineering. And if you listen to everything that the Prime Minister says, that the Chancellor says, pretty much those all encompass the vital skills that are going to make a massive difference to our economy and to our country as we build back from the pandemic.
Thank you. And you've mentioned the central role there of employers. And why for you was it so important that this is an employer-led initiative?
Well, I don't know if you know, Julie, but before I was a Member of Parliament, I spent 30 years working in various businesses in different sectors all over the world. And one of the constant problems that you had, particularly if you're in fast-moving technological environments, which most businesses are now because the technological change is so rapid, it's really hard to get the skills that you need to really compete, and you're normally competing with many other companies across the world. And many businesses today report that 26% of their vacancies they cannot fill because of a lack of skills. And this is a real issue for employers, and therefore employers are really trying to hopefully work with institutes of technology and work with other training providers to effectively try and close those skills gaps. And it's at all levels, because we've got a huge focus in the government now on skills, on reforming our technical skills agenda and higher technical skills. And the Institute of Technology are a vital pillar of that. And businesses, the reason it's vital is because otherwise they're not going to be able to get the skills they need to build their businesses.
Yeah, and we're really excited about all of the technical education reform actually here at Milton Keynes, not least our Institute of Technology, which is amazing. What about that focus on higher technical skills? Why do you think that's such an important thing at the moment?
Well, that's because it's what employers want. It's what businesses around the world really need. You know, for the last 20 years or so, there's been a massive technical revolution in businesses. It's changed the operating models. It's changed the way we do things. You know, data is the new gold, as they say. It's really had a profound impact on a lot of businesses and a lot of ways we do things across our country and indeed across the world. So higher technical qualifications are basically all the things you need to enable you to really work in those higher technical environments. And what we've found has happened to our education system, and when I was younger years ago, there was a fair few higher technical qualifications. I even did one myself on my way to my degree apprenticeship, but they seem to have really reduced massively And obviously we've had many more people doing degrees, but not necessarily technical degrees. Even the way we live our life, you need digital skills. But I think it's in terms of the higher technical areas of digital skills. I think that's the key thing for yourself. And I think it's really focus on those areas that employers say they require. Obviously everything to do with ICT, everything to do with data analytics, cybersecurity, software development. I mean, they're all the key areas that there are global shortages of.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And of course, in our employer consortium, we get great support from Microsoft and McAfee, as well as KPMG and Evidence Talks and lots of other really skilled tech businesses. But we're really clear that it's tech skills for all business, not just for the tech sector. And I think that's one of the things that makes it really exciting. Apprenticeships are a big part of our offer, Minister, and I know that you yourself were an apprentice. So is that something that's very important to you, to make sure that we continue to improve the quality and the standard of that apprenticeship offer?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you think about it logically, when you're in a highly technical, fast-moving world, with many different pressures, to me, it's logical that one of the best ways to learn in that type of environment is actually to be in the workplace and also studying at the same time, as opposed to in a full-time classroom, perhaps for a 3 or 4 year period. So I think apprenticeships, what we see with apprenticeships is they're actually a really good way to have that transfer of knowledge between businesses and also the course that you're doing, whether it's a higher technical qualification or a degree. So it's a very good model. It's one that also is very productive very quickly. You will find that apprentices get to be very productive very quickly in a business as well. So I mean, I did one 30 years ago. It was a brilliant way to get the foundations to go on to have a very successful business career right up to exec level, and then obviously now sat here as the Minister for Apprenticeship and Skills, and the foundations for that apprenticeship basically became a way of learning and a way of life.
That's fantastic, and I know you inspire our apprentices already, knowing that you have been an apprentice and now you're shaping policy and the future of education and skills in this country. It certainly is something which all of our students and staff really appreciate. You've got that first-hand experience, so thank you very much for that, and thank you for sharing that. I hope that we will be able to welcome you to the South Central Institute of Technology very soon, and you can meet our employers, our students and our apprentices, and they can share with you what an exciting journey they're having too. So thank you so much for being here today, Minister. We've really appreciated your insights.
Well, thank you, and the very best of luck with everything you're doing. I look forward to seeing you in person not too long.
Well, wasn't it fantastic to hear from Gillian Keegan, the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills? And I'm sure everyone got a sense of her enthusiasm and advocacy for apprenticeships, for higher technical skills and for institutes of technology. Let's hear now from our Principal of the South Central Institute of Technology, Alex Warner, as he discusses IoTs with some of our industry partners.
Thank you very much, Julie. I'm delighted to welcome you to the next session that we're going to explore the South Central Institute of Technology. Within this session, we've got a range of partners who are going to be sharing more about their experiences supporting all aspects of design, development and delivery of the South Central Institute of Technology. I'm delighted to welcome a range of guests who are supporting me in this session. I'm going to invite each of them to introduce themselves in turn. So firstly, with me in the studio, I'll hand over to Elizabeth.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Alex. Elizabeth Sheldon. I'm Executive Director of CCL Solution Group Evidence Talks, and I have the honour of chairing the Anchor Partner Group.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And handing over to you, Derek.
Hello, everyone. I'm Derek McCourt. I'm the General Manager for Customer Success for Microsoft in the UK, a member of our board and sponsor for this project on behalf of Microsoft.
Thank you very much, Derek. And last but by no means least, Anita.
Hi, thanks, Alex. This is Anita Nadkarni. I am the Technology Strategy Leader at PwC.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Anita. And interestingly, Anita, in her role, started and signed up as an anchor partner working with another member of our partnership network, Tech Mahindra, prior to moving into her current role, and is continuing to support the development of the Institute of Technology. So my first question, really to the panelists, is about why the IoT. What does it mean for you and specifically your organisations? Derek, over to you. So why the South Central Institute of Technology, and why for Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have a massive skills gap in the world of digital in the UK. We've been engaging with the South Central IoT for quite a while now, bringing this project to life. And we're just excited about reigniting further education in the UK and having a new cohort of talented people coming into our industry to bolster that digital skills needs and the gap that we have.
Fantastic. I love that about reigniting, because one of our values is our purpose is to inspire digital futures. And secondly, over to Anita.
I believe digital skill is such a huge demand. I mean, it will be an understatement to say it's futuristic. It's right away we are seeing lots of gaps and all aspects of technology. But more importantly, I felt that having a hands-on experience or preparing students to deliver live projects, that's an incredibly important aspect of it, because the time that is spent on onboarding some of the students, it's pretty huge. That's a huge investment for many people in the industry, and it will be a great idea to have an institute like this, training students on live things, and kind of preparing them for nearly ready to deliver live projects. I believe that's one of the important aspects of this institute that kept me going even when I changed organizations.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I really like the idea that actually an individual's onboarding to an organization starts from that point of first learning and carries all the way through. One of our ambitions is to model the world of work, and having the support of anchor partners enables us to achieve that. Elizabeth, finally over to you.
Well, having the ability to influence the curriculum, so we are delivering exactly the kind of skills and knowledge that students require when they go forth into the world of work, is immensely important. And being able to then perhaps take those students as apprentices into our own organisations means we are developing our own workforce. And I think this is immensely powerful and absolutely required in the climate that we have, where digital skills is growing, the need for it, and it's certainly not going to get any smaller. In fact, the new Defence and Security Industrial Strategy, released 6 weeks ago or so, had a high importance placed on the development of skills. So it's something that our current government endorse.
Absolutely. And our Chancellor recently said also that every job is a digital job. So Anita, if I could go with you first, because I know you're working with our curriculum development team, looking at a specific module, looking at emerging technologies. Would you be able to brief us on that and why that's important for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I feel proud, first of all, to be associated with this initiative for two reasons. One is obviously I'm passionate about technology at personal level. I believe technology does not only have the power but the grace to support our lives in so many aspects. It's a genie, and it's up to us how do we use it, or it's probably our generation's opportunity to shape it in right direction, because it can, if it is not used appropriately, it can be dangerous for the society. So taking this opportunity and helping shape it in the right direction, not only from professional perspective, but also for its usage in our daily lives. How do we control it, or how do we kind of define it or shape it? That's one aspect of it. The other aspect that I'm pretty interested about is kind of not letting that social divide happen, because having digital skills and not having it can create that social divide, in if not in this generation, probably it will be in the future generations. So kind of making sure that there is a balance, we are able to get everybody along this journey and not leaving people behind. So the third aspect is that the institute is helping underrepresented people to kind of enable them to fulfill their potential. That's another aspect that I'm pretty much interested in and passionate about. So with all of this coming together at one place, it's like dream come true for me.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you very much. Really kind words, and I think it's really important also to make reference to the session that we have coming up with ARV, exploring our equality, diversity and inclusion, because inclusion is the first of our values, to make sure that we represent the community that we serve. Over to you, Derek. So why for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a number of reasons. First of all, my route into this fantastic digital economy back in the dark ages was through FE. It gave me a bridge from bad A-level choices into the world of computing science, and actually onwards then into HE, actually in a very much like an apprentice-like model back in the day. So again, a massive fan of that model where people are learning on the job, but also going through a route of formal education. And I say it's been exciting then to have that engagement, with the team, both in the recruitment of students, as we were describing before, from diverse and inclusive backgrounds, and then building on that to creating curriculum together that's relevant to the type of jobs that we want them to do. And then actually having people from my own team delivering that content. It's been really exciting for one of my team who's been hands-on with the NHS during the pandemic, working with your students, Alex, and talking to them what true digital transformation means. So I just think the way we're working together is delivering, incredible experiences for students that will hopefully make them ready for the workplace.
Thanks, Derek, and a plug for the work that Microsoft colleagues have also done in terms of innovation and digital transformation. It wasn't only the students who were inspired. I think all of the delivery team were glued to those sessions to learn more about how you've supported the NHS during these challenging times. And then Elizabeth, over to you personally then. So what your personal ambitions for supporting the Institute of Technology?
Well, I was immensely proud and delighted to have been invited onto the Anchor Partner Group, because my company is a small and medium enterprise, so the first or the only one on the Anchor Partner team. And I was delighted. I'm very fond of the college. I admire enormously what the college does, and I know this is born out of the college's ambition and vision for further education. In Milton Keynes, we are so lucky. We have many startups, we have many businesses that are growing right at the cutting edge, and to have a technology college that can support them in their growth and always be at the forefront of what we're doing. So led by our partners, we can deliver the education that is absolutely required for the workforce.
So my next question, I'm going to come straight back to you, Elizabeth. We've spoken about access and opportunity, and one of the increasing demands that we are finding is about people wanting to retrain and reskill, and the opportunity that the Institute of Technology represents. By way of example, we have returners to the workplace who are studying with us now. I just wondered whether you had any personal views around what the Institute of Technology means for those who are considering a future in digital.
I think as a nation, we've discovered that many of our workforce people will need to retrain, and this is an ideal opportunity to offer them something that is leading, cutting edge, and relevant for a job they might go for in a number of industries. So as I can't remember which of our esteemed speakers mentioned, but it's not just working for a software development company, but every single company in the country will need our digital skills going forward. So being able to offer our people who need to retrain this opportunity is really fantastic. They need courage. You need courage to go back to college. You need support from your family, from your community, and from the wider college network. So we must ensure that we can offer that to these people and make sure we give them the best opportunity we possibly can.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Really powerful message for all of us. I'm interested now just to try and explore a little bit about our real world curriculum and aspects that you've been involved in sort of developing those knowledge, skills and behaviours of our students. So each of you in turn will have supported some aspects of design, development and delivery of the curriculum, those curriculum projects that our students will experience. So Elizabeth, over to you then. Thinking about the real world nature of the curriculum, how will students benefit from that?
So one thing that we haven't discussed, and that's perhaps the soft skills that they will develop in the course of their time with the Institute. So critical thinking is absolutely top of the list of anybody who is looking to employ somebody. They want somebody who can think quickly, can move data around, understand it across a variety of platforms and levels, and those kind of skills that will be taught are absolutely vital for going into the workplace. But on a more practical level, a basic understanding of everything or most of the streams of technology at the moment, so digital transformation, big data, forensics, cyber, all of those, a basic understanding will absolutely hold them in great stead, whatever career they choose.
So Anita, over to you.
Yeah, I think one of the aspects of this keeping people ready for industry is also important from their own confidence perspective when you're getting into a completely new environment in the industry. Obviously, there are other things to kind of gear up on, but having that confidence or that knowledge or their ability to add value pretty quickly, that will make it more important, incredibly happy place for them, I believe. And from the organization's perspective, I believe even if we could reduce just the 1 month of transition for each employee that is onboarded, just imagine the millions of months that we will be saving for the industry. So looking at it from commercial aspect also, it makes perfect sense to kind of bring more industry ready people into the industry.
Thanks, Anita. And I really like the point that you make about accelerating that graduate and transition process into graduate employment. We're coming to the end of our session now. So I'm going to ask each of you for one closing remark that you'd like to share with our viewers. I'm going to start with those on screen. So start with Derek.
Yeah, first of all, actually, I love that example that students in year one are already starting to get headhunted. And I think what that reflects is in this UK economy that's going to recover at pace, the digital and technology world will be the fastest growing part of that recovery and the most profitable part of that recovery, with really well paid jobs. And the simple thing that we're trying to achieve here is help people get the right skills to thrive in technology careers. So anybody who's watching in, I would just encourage you to challenge yourself and get involved.
Fantastic. What a fantastic message that is. Thank you, Derek. Over to you, Anita.
I believe the fundamental principle of Institute of Technology is one, obviously, bringing up the skill level, digital skill level of the society as a whole, but at the same time helping the underprivileged and bringing them up to speed, helping them realize their potential. I believe those are really powerful purpose is, and I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to get involved or leverage this opportunity.
Fantastic, thank you, Anita. And then finally to Elizabeth.
I think we have an amazing institute here in the South Central Institute of Technology, right at the leading edge, and anybody who wants to look to the future should consider joining this fantastic organisation, this inclusive organisation, because we all know that the more variety we have, the better the result. So I would urge you to do as Derek and Anita said, and to look to come and sign up.
Fantastic, thank you very much. So finally, a huge thank you to each of my guests. Thank you for joining myself and the rest of the team today on celebrating our launch. And I'm delighted now to hand over to Arv.
Thank you, Alex. That was a brilliant and insightful conversation with our industry partners. And what I'd like to do now is introduce you to our next discussion, which is on the diversity that we have within our tech sector, the challenges that we have, and how the IoT is looking to address some of those issues. And I'd like to start off by welcoming our panel. We have Precious Zumbika Luanga.
Thank you, Arv. Thank you for having me today. I'm Precious Zumbika Luanga. I'm a chartered surveyor by profession, so I do construction advisory, and I'm a CEO and founder of Perspective Limited.
Thank you, Precious. And then we have Thomas Cliff.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Tom Cliff. I run Track and End, which is a social enterprise which is supporting autistic adults to access employment.
Thank you, Thomas. And then we have Lorraine.
Hello, I'm Lorraine Martins. I am the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Network Rail, and my responsibilities are for our strategic direction around diversity and inclusion, ranging from how we recruit and retain people from diverse backgrounds, right through to accessibility, and making sure that we are creating a transport system that can be used by all.
What I'd like to do is just to start off and delve straight into the challenges that we have. It's the tech sector in specific that we're talking about, but I think it is a general issue across the majority of sectors. The representation that we have from various marginalised groups within different levels of the hierarchy within the sectors. Why is it actually important that we actually have representation, whether that's in terms of gender, whether it's in terms of ethnicity, whether it's in terms of people from a neurodiverse background, disability, etc.? Why is it actually important? I'd like to start off with you, Thomas, if that's okay.
So I think the first key thing is it's making businesses aware that it's not just a nice thing to do or even the right thing to do. It's about allowing every individual in a workplace to thrive, and also the value that they can add to a business commercially, but from a day in, day out basis. I mean, looking at autistic adults, there's only 16% of autistic adults in employment full-time nationally. There are so many talented individuals who, with small environmental changes, can add lots and lots of value. And from my point of view, I think that's something which we've discussed from the start, and something which I think provides a really exciting opportunity to get people working together and supporting each other to create those opportunities.
Thank you. Lorraine, I mean, you've done a lot of work and driven a lot of changes within Network Rail and the various regions within Network Rail as well. Why do you think it's important, the work that you're doing, and why is it important for an organisation like Network Rail?
So one of the key things for Network Rail is the fact that we do have an ageing population, which is predominantly male. We also have a skills shortage, and these things we need to address. So it's really incumbent upon us to attract people from different backgrounds to address these gaps in our own organisation. So that's the first point. And I think the second point is that, as Tom was saying, we really do want to reflect the communities that we serve, and to use that intelligence so that we're providing a really first-class service to our passengers and customers. And we don't do that as effectively as we can if we don't reflect those communities.
Really valid point there. Precious.
I think Tom and Lorraine have captured it beautifully. So I think there's a lot of value that can be released with diverse teams. And Lorraine, you captured something around, aging population. So my background is in construction, like I mentioned. So we have parallels in that space because engineering and construction work really well together. And I think that, sitting around tables that represent the communities that we're building these assets for is really powerful. So I think that there's a lot of value that businesses can get, even just from, creativity. When you have people from different backgrounds actually inputting and, being part of that work process, you just get a lot of value out of that. The conversations are creative, they're lively. And then when you look at the commercial element of it, I talk to organizations about, you can release a lot of commercial benefits and actually release commercial levers within an organization where you have variety of thought or even variety of offering, because you can diversify and actually touch societies that you would have never ever attracted. So again, role modeling, being able to see people in an organization will open up different markets that you would have never ever had the chance to actually plug into.
So I just want to steer the conversation more towards specifically with the way that we partnered with industry within the IoT. Why is it important for industry partners to be involved in the plans from day one with the Institute of Technology, and what benefit do you think you're bringing as an industry partner? If I can start with you first, Lorraine.
Thank you, Arv. And I think it's really important to reinforce the fact that you're seeking to create a curriculum that makes people fit for work. We're one of the significant employers in Milton Keynes, and technology is one of the fastest growing areas in terms of the work that we're looking to do. We're looking at electrifying our rail, we're looking at sustainability, and we need these skills, as I mentioned earlier, to fulfill the ambitions that we have to deliver a really first-class service for our passengers. So it's really important that we work with the Institute of Technology to shape the curriculum, to make sure that it's fit for purpose for the future requirements that we have, and indeed the requirements that we have now, and that we're also supporting you in terms of giving opportunities to make sure that that curriculum reflects what we need, but also you're attracting the future workforce that we would want to be able to attract to our business. So I think there's a really good synergy between what you're doing and what we will need, and preparing those people for future work.
Thank you. Precious.
Thank you, Arv. I mean, Lorraine, again, captured some really good points there. So for me, I think that the stance that IoT has taken to actually bring in industry partners is a fantastic opportunity for us to be able to give feedback on what's worked and what hasn't worked in the environments that we've been working in. So again, I touch on the fact that I'm a construction professional, and that's an environment that is not necessarily diverse by color or by gender. So being able to support and contribute to the strategy that the IoT is actually putting together as an equality, diversity and inclusion strategy is so important. What you'll get as a partner that's plugging in is real life experience, and you can't take away from real life experience, being able to actually highlight areas that IoT probably might I'm not saying might have a blind spot to, because they're not operating in that sector. So for me, the IoT as well, I mean, property has got PropTech, so technology will get into property. Technology touches all sectors. So myself having that opportunity to be able to contribute from a construction background, again, Lorraine touched on it, it's almost like setting ourselves up for success. The learners that are going to be in the IoT will inadvertently touch many industries and many sectors. And we know technology is not really represented at the moment on various fronts when you look at the Equality Act. So I think having industry partners to be able to plug in, to be able to give insights, to support and contribute to that strategy is just amazing.
Absolutely. Tom?
I think from our point of view as a kind of locally operating social enterprise, relatively newly established in a sense, that ability to work and learn from other partners has been fantastic as an opportunity from a purely business point of view to actually hear people's experiences. But that commitment that I've seen to want to do things right from the very start, not wait until there's a problem and solve it, but that, like you said, to get things right from the start, from considering recruitment selection and looking at small environmental changes. We don't have to change the whole procedure, but how do we get to those people who we know have the skills that might not have previously been able to kind of thrive in the workplace. And I think by bringing together the people, the learners that are there, but also those business partners that can engage from day one, you can learn so much. And actually that's not only going to create the first job for somebody when they move on from education, but importantly set those pathways through for lots more people to get employed, and then like everyone could benefit from that.
So it'd be interesting to sort of like see, are there things that so I've used this analogy before in terms of this wave of change that's been coming for years, and the tech sector is one of the most rapidly expanding sectors in terms of recruitment, development, and innovation. When we look back at the 1800s and we look at the Industrial Revolution, the people that benefited from the Industrial Revolution, the people that didn't benefit from that, we've got a revolution going on, a tech sector revolution that's been going on for the last few years. How do we ensure as industry partners and as providers of education that we don't have people that should benefit from it not benefiting from that change? So whether it's in terms of accessing the learning, but also being seen as the experts within the sector as well. Tom?
I think, again, it's that area of making sure that we're listening and learning and working in collaboration, because actually for autistic adults who might be able to get into employment, they're finding that they can't progress to the higher levels, but actually by working with partners all the way through the process, we can rethink not only recruitment and selection for learners coming in, but also for companies to see how a small change within their setting can make a massive difference. And I think that's the real opportunity to learn from each other as a group. It has been really, really beneficial to ensure that actually, you know, those kind of developments that you mentioned, different people see different things. And for someone who perhaps thinks in a different way, but might struggle to voice their opinion, let's provide the tech that allows them to have their opinion. And actually let's embed that into our day in, day out practices, because that then becomes acceptance. You know, what we're talking about here isn't about becoming more aware of autism or anything. It's about accepting people for individuals and allowing everyone to thrive in the workplace, not just a few.
Yeah, absolutely precious.
So for me, I think the analogy that I take from the Industrial Revolution is, and we spoke about this a little while back, is beneficiaries and contributors. So I think what we're doing now with the IoT, actually allowing industry partners to plug in and support and shape, is really about changing that mindset from being just a contributor. So before you would have contributors to the beneficiaries. Now we are upskilling everybody, and everybody's essentially going to have a seat at the table, because you're allowing them to see their worth, you're allowing them to see that they are a part of, and that diversity and inclusion element is creating and opening doors and platforms for people that in the Industrial Revolution probably didn't have that access. So I think, you know, there's something around, yes, there's an opportunity for the IoT to be in that space, to be influential, to be leading in that space. Because yes, tech, absolutely, there's not a lot of representation. There's representation from females, really low. Representation from BAME representation, I'll speak to myself, really, really low. Now, if we're shaping an institution or an institute that is going to be embracing all those protected characteristics and allowing them to flourish and getting them ready for industry, and actually maybe even harnessing entrepreneurs or startups, I think that's just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Lorraine, I'm conscious of the time. And in terms of what would you want to leave as a final thought from your point of view? How do we learn from the lessons of the past to make sure that we are more inclusive in who are the benefactors from this wave of tech innovation and tech growth?
I think that's a really great question. So I think we both need, as partners and stakeholders in the provision that you're developing, to think about a really iterative process, continually checking that we've reached out to those communities that traditionally have been excluded, that we're creating facilities that are accessible to as wide a group of participants as possible, and that as a recipient or beneficiary of all of that work, that we are also ready to make sure that we're creating environments in which those people, our employees of the future, can flourish, our leaders of the future can flourish, and that we benefit from the new technologies that we know that we will need. And so I think there's a really great symbiotic relationship between us that we have to keep channeling and testing and sharing with each other to make sure that we're keeping on the right track.
Thank you, Lorraine, and thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate that. Is there anything that you'd want our people that are listening in on this to walk away with in terms of any training thoughts or any things that you want to encourage them to be involved in or think about?
For me, I just think any organizations that are listening into this conversation, I think we all have a role to, we all have a responsibility right now to actually create environments that allow diversity to flourish, that allow inclusion to happen naturally. So my take from today is lessons are being taken in the Institute, and embracing equality, diversity and inclusion in the manner that is happening in the Institute of Technology is just forward thinking. It's just forward thinking for me.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's to get involved and help create those opportunities so that we're not waiting until the last day of the third year of study to finally go and look around a workplace, and actually the benefits you can find of having a fresh face into your workplace to come and look round, and some of the ideas that come up with are truly innovative. And like you said, looking at different metrics means for that person who is so passionate about one topic but maybe didn't get the 3 A-levels that they needed to get into to some places, if they've got a passion for an area, let's really look at that. And I think that's what the opportunities here are. And companies, basically, it's your chance to get the head start, because these people are going to be the forward thinkers. They are going to be the people who think in a different perspective. And those are the companies that are going to flourish in the future. And I think that's the key bit of wanting to get involved and create that opportunity. It might be from a workplace visit for an hour or two, right the way through to full involvement and actually getting these young people involved with you. But it can only benefit everyone.
Thank you. Really powerful messages. Thank you very much. So thank you to you, Tom, and thank you to Precious, and thank you to Lorraine as well. So I'd now like to hand back to Alex, who will be delving into the experiences of some of our learners who are currently studying at the Institute of Technology. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you so much for leading that session on diversity and inclusion. For this session, I'm delighted to be joined by two of our students, Deborah and Adam. Deborah, first, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
So, hi, my name is Deborah and I'm 19 years old and I study cybersecurity.
Brilliant, thank you. And Adam, over to you if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Adam, I'm 19 as well. I'm doing a software developer apprenticeship with Clearview Intelligence.
Fantastic. So we'll hear a little bit more about those sort of full-time cybersecurity and apprenticeship software developer in a short while. But before we look at where it is that you currently are, do you mind me asking a little bit about your background, your education, why you found yourself studying where you are, what your interests are, and how you've come to join us at the Institute of Technology. So I'm going to reverse the order, and Adam, I'm going to go with you first. So just a little bit about your background, your interest, and how you've come to find yourself as an apprentice.
So before I came here, I did 3 A-levels at Cedars Upper School in their 6th form. So I did computer science, maths and physics. My interests are mostly computer science based.
So Deborah, over to you. A little bit about your background, interests, and maybe even something about your future ambitions.
Okay, so I went to school. I studied 3 A-levels. I did maths, health and social, and I did IT as well. Yeah. So I did that for A-levels and I was supposed to go to university, but I got into university, but I wasn't able to go in. I didn't really think that university was for me. Yeah. I wanted a pathway where I can try and learn something like 3 different things. So I decided to come to the Institute. I got told by my teachers that I should come to the Institute, so I came to the Institute. And from the Institute, I kind of learned very many different pathways because I was not really sure what pathway I wanted to go to. I wasn't sure if I wanted security or not, or if I wanted programming. And from there, I kind of learned that I really enjoy security and cybersecurity, and that is what I'm going to be doing for the future.
Brilliant. So you came here, you've learned a kind of a range of disciplines, so security, programming, big data analytics, infrastructure, networking, etc., etc. But it's helped you develop that sense of kind of direction and purpose about where you want to be. Brilliant. So Adam, if you don't mind me asking, then you made a decision that you had options also to go into higher education or to go on to an apprenticeship. So what was the appeal of an apprenticeship for you?
I thought, yeah, definitely the experience of working in a proper company was for me, and getting the learning done by actually doing it rather than just studying theory.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that will set me up good for later life with having the experience that I'm gaining with this apprenticeship.
So Adam, tell us a little bit more about what the apprenticeship is doing for you. What experiences do you get in the workplace?
One of the projects that the workplace is doing at the moment is social distancing tags, which are being used by ITV on their TV shows. So they vibrate if two people wearing them get too close to each other, to notify them that they need to move further apart. One of their other projects is kind of data analysis for traffic data, so congestion and car park capacity and things like that.
Yeah. And I think that's brilliant as well, because it's an example of how your software developer apprenticeship also meets, for example, big data and analytics, and then looking at how traffic management can be controlled. That's a wonderful example of that multidisciplinary nature. Deborah, coming to you then. So you, as a full-time student, have had lots of exposure to different employers and different projects. Could you give us a little flavour of what it's like, or to undertake some of those projects with employers?
You don't just get to learn about the topic and about the module, you get to have experience of it as well. So I would say that something that really stood out to me was Evidence Talk with Andrew, which was really amazing. I mean, we learned how to crack passwords, how to make passwords using algorithms, and we also learned how to investigate a crime, find forensics on it, find the evidence, and be able to solve it. So
yeah, that's a really great example of how it was a cybersecurity module that you were studying, but it was taught by cyber forensics experts in Evidence Talks. And we had, or I was fortunate enough to talk to Elizabeth in an earlier session to really explore the work that Andrew has done to bring that to life. Adam, over to you then. So I understand you've got your final project, or your major project that you're doing with the software developer cohort, and again, working with something that has a real world impact. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so all the apprenticeships are doing a project for a charity called Sorted in Dunstable. So they need a system to organise their appointments. It's a mental health charity with their clients. So that involves kind of things like sending text reminders to their clients, and emails, and having a system that the counsellors can look at to know what appointments they have that day.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example of that those real world experiences that we're trying to develop. Not only are you bringing together all your software developer knowledge, you're coming up with not only a real world project, but something that will have huge impacts. Mental health, we know, something that is something we're all faced with, and we're all facing our own challenges. So I think it's brilliant that you and the students are helping both the charity, but also the number of individuals that they support as well. Thank you so much for talking about your projects and the experiences. I'm really keen now to understand your future ambitions. So again, you're currently on this pathway. Adam, you're coming towards the end. Deborah, you're roughly about the midpoint. Just trying to think about what you've learnt on the programme and what you hope to achieve in the future. So I'll start with you, Deborah. You said about cybersecurity and your passion for that particular discipline, but what are your ambitions for the future?
So I really do enjoy cybersecurity, and I enjoy security. I've also gained experience in coding and programming, which is something that I've started to learn on my own, which was amazing. But I really think that my pathway is more into the business side of security and IT. So I think I can be able to integrate business and security and put them together, which are my two favorite things. And I really think that I would I would love my life.
No, that's a brilliant example of how you've got those, again, multidisciplinary skills, and you can take a particular topic and really extend it, because we know that security is something that we all need to take account of, and having security practitioners who help organisations is only going to grow the demand for jobs and hopefully a very bright future. Adam, how about yourself? So you're coming towards the end of your software developer apprenticeship. You are working with a great company, Clearview, and lots of opportunities. So what are your hopes and ambitions for the future?
Yeah, so there's quite a few pathways I'd consider after this apprenticeship. One of them would be to use this stage as a stepping stone onto a level 6 apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Or using it to get into Milton Keynes University, to go further with the theory more after having got some experience working at a company with this apprenticeship.
Adam, fascinating to hear more about your journey. If we were to have a closing remark from either of the two of you, and I was to say, what would your message be to a young or an aspiring Deborah, a young and aspiring Adam? What would be the message that you would send to people who are considering sitting in your seat right now or following your journey? Do you have any final thoughts? So, Deborah.
There are so many opportunities out here when it comes to choosing whether to go back to school or gaining experience. So I think that the institute is a really good idea when it comes to deciding what you want to do in the future. Even if you don't know what you want to do for university, or you're not sure to start an apprenticeship because you're not ready for work, the institute is a really good place where you can start and know what your pathway is and know all the different modules in IT, and just dive it down and just know what you want to do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Adam, how about you? What would your message be in terms of what you've learned on your journey?
Yeah, I think if you're someone who learns really well with hands-on experience, or you just want to get some experience before you go into work, I think an apprenticeship is a really good way of doing that, both with the getting experience with projects in the actual college, and with doing things at your workplace as well.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. It was great to hear about your personal journeys, the sort of the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you've developed along the way, how that you've been inspired by some of our industry partners, and hopefully continue to go on and make an impact with those real world projects. So thank you both so much. And now we're going to hand over to hear more from the next instalment from the Institute of Technology.
What does it mean to be anything ready? It's knowing that you'll be in a job you love and being prepared to make a global difference. With the backing of top employers in the game, it's having any industry at the tip of your fingers and a career that's strong in the face of change. It's being part of a generation of influencers, innovators, embracing and craving a difference. Never slowing, rolling with the punches, growing all the time, constantly rising, learning, smiling, proving them wrong, finding the spark, discovering genius, being indestructible, fearless, free. So, why stand still? Discover courses at the South Central Institute of Technology and be anything ready.
And welcome back. I'm delighted to be discussing Be Anything Ready with my next guest, Sir Dermot Turing. Dermot, thank you so much for giving it the time today. It's great to be here with you at the Institute of Technology. For our viewers today, can I ask you just to introduce yourself, the name, Turing, and your association with the Institute of Technology, and specifically here with us at Bletchley Park?
Thank you very much for having me. My name's Dermot Turing. I'm Alan Turing's nephew, but my own personal association, I was a trustee of the Bletchley Park Trust for 8 years, and during that time I've got a great deal of more knowledge about what happened there than I had when I started, and also I've grown a great fondness for the place. So it's very nice to be here today.
So what does it mean for the Institute of Technology to be part of that creating legacy in and around the Bletchley area?
Some people will think of Bletchley Park as a sort of a historical thing that makes them proud about what contributed to the winning of World War II through brains as well as the rather less pleasant aspects of warfare. And Bletchley Park itself has got this great museum where you can discover all those things that happened. But I see it as being a little bit more forward-looking, if you like, than just a museum about what happened in the past. I think the ideas that were developed at Bletchley Park during World War II essentially pointed the way for a whole load of post-war and present-day developments and things that we could and should be thinking about. First of all, they developed amazing machinery for breaking codes. They started having to think very hard about what made a secure code. And of course, in today's world where everything is encrypted, which codes can be broken and which ones are secure is a crucial issue. You know, every time you do an online transaction, you're giving secret information in the form of your credit card details or whatever to, you know, it's being pinged off into the ether. You don't know who's going to intercept it. It's precisely the same problem that the World War II code breakers were having. But it's not just that. I think that they were also doing some really quite extraordinary things, data mining, for example. If you looked at the Enigma messages that were being decoded at Bletchley Park, they were little bits of micro data about things that nobody cared about, you know, like this particular station in Italy had run out of small screws or something like that. I mean, who cares? You're not going to win battles by knowing that. But if you put all the bits of data together, you can build up a picture. And they excelled at that. I think they kind of invented that sort of data science. And then there was all sorts of other stuff going on as well, like where they couldn't decode the messages, but they could work out stuff from the metadata, the information about how the message is packaged or who it's being sent to. And they could build up patterns of what they call the order of battle data about which units were where, and that tells you what the enemy's intention is going to be. So there's lots of stuff going on there. Technology, data science, cybersecurity. I mean, all these things are spot on where we are today and what the Institute of Technology is going to be, you know, excelling at in the 21st century. The pathway was sort of effectively laid out by what happened at Bletchley Park.
Fantastic, and I think it's brilliant that we recognise Bletchley and the part that Alan played at Bletchley. However, he went on to contribute far more to, for example, computational thinking. I just wondered whether you'd be able to help our viewers today to understand a little bit more about Turing's later works.
In his lifetime, he was much more famous for having laid the theory for building computing machines. And after World War II, having seen the machinery they'd built at Bletchley Park, he was recruited to design and be involved in the development and the programming of Britain's computing machine. And there was only going to be one of them.
Singular. Yeah.
There was only going to be one of them because they thought that computers, this is the mindset that people were in the 1940s, they thought that computers would be used to do giant arithmetical problems, and the big complex arithmetical problems were about the trajectories of missiles. So you fire, I don't know, an anti-aircraft missile, for example, and you've got to work out things to do with the wind speed and the air density, which is affected by the humidity, and you've got to work out how fast the aircraft is flying and whether it might speed up or slow down. You've got to work out what the muzzle velocity of the gun is. So there's lots of variables. It's a very complex calculation. So, but one computer should be able to manage all those calculations, and therefore we only needed one. Very soon, this annoying person called Alan Turing came along and said, but computers could do so much more than just calculate trajectories. We could even develop software that enables machines to learn and to create artificial intelligence, at which point they decided he really was far too annoying for his own good. But he did show the way to a more sort of versatile approach to computing and programming, and within a few years they were demonstrating this by, for example, getting the Manchester computer that he went and worked on to write love poems. They were really rather rubbish love poems, but this was kind of, the point was to show to people that, you know, you could do a lot more than just sums on a computer. And look what happened in the subsequent 60 years. I mean, every single app that you have on your phone is really a manifestation of that idea that a computer is not just a giant calculator, it's a versatile device that you can program to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. If I may, if we go back to Bletchley then, and some of the things that made that wartime effort such a success, what are some of those skills or abilities that those individuals will have had to have developed? Alan himself, what is it that Alan will have had to overcome in order to support the wartime effort? And how might we develop those opportunities for our students to develop those same skills and be exposed to those opportunities?
I think very soon after the war broke out, Bletchley Park management realised that they needed a much broader range of skills and diversity amongst the kind of people who work there. So suddenly they discovered that by hiring in really quite clever women, that they could fill some of the skills gaps that they got. So the whole thing about it being basically a male enterprise broke down very, very quickly. They realised that the professors were great, but actually what they'd done by hiring professors is they discovered they got all sorts of academic disciplines, but then they realised they also needed people who got, if you like, mechanical skills. So people who were good with machines, and people who'd got great imagination. And so you've got linguists, you've got mathematicians, you've got people who are good with their hands, the people who can see round a corner of a problem and look at it in a different direction. And I think, and you've got people who are data analysts and intelligence specialists, and you know, just all manner of things. So you really, there's no single stereotype anymore. By about a year and a half into the war, there is no stereotype.
From your perspective, Dermot, what does it mean to have our industry professionals coming and supporting the design, the development and the delivery and all aspects of the ongoing support for the Institute of Technology?
I think it's absolutely key, because what you're doing is bridging what otherwise might be a bit of a gap between what happens in a classroom, which is a little bit detached from reality, or can be, and what happens in the workplace, where you've got real live clients with real live problems. And I think to be able to show how what you've learned in the classroom is applied to do in the workplace. There's still some bits that need to be sort of filled in to make that a sort of a complete set of things, but it just also makes what you're being taught about come alive in some way. And I think what the students that I've had the privilege of listening to have said is that it's really, I don't know, it just sort of turns it into something that's three-dimensional. And I think that's, and it's great that you've got partners from industry who are willing to come and give their time to do this. I mean, it makes good sense to them too, frankly, because you know they can see the cohort of new recruits for their own employment needs coming through already fully trained. I mean, that's got to be great news for them too.
What is it that you get out of this? Why have you joined the Anchor Partner Strategy Group, and why is it so important for you personally to be part of this Institute of Technology journey?
There's a number of things. First of all, I've always thought of the Bletchley Park heritage side of things as not being a backward-looking thing, but actually being a forward-looking thing, being about how we can be inspired by the past to discover a new future. And obviously, as an educational institution, being part of what you're trying to do here at the Institute of Technology is, you know, it's a very positive way of sort of giving effect to that philosophy. I would also say this, though, that one of the things I'm passionate about is the fact that we still as a society have got a lot of work to do in terms of introducing young people to the idea of careers and skills in tech subjects.
Yep.
And I am still really quite ashamed to be part of a society that where only 16% of the candidates that are coming forward for higher education or careers in computer science are women. What's happened along the way to put people off? And if here at the Institute of Technology we can showcase that we've got really exciting opportunities for all sorts of people, regardless of their gender, regardless of their ethnicity, we can actually create a fantastic future for everybody. That is something that I'm really very keen to help come to fruition.
Dermot, it's been a real honour and privilege to have this conversation with you and discuss the purpose and the values of the Institute of Technology. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Lisa Hennigan and I'm Chief Digital Officer at KPMG. As CDO, I'm responsible for our client-facing technologists as well as for leading the digital transformation of our own organisation. KPMG in the UK is one of the largest member firms in the KPMG Global Network, providing audit, tax and advisory services. In the UK, we have approximately 16,000 professionals working together to deliver value for our clients. Our vision is to be the clear choice in professional services for our clients, our people, and the communities in which we work. We're proud to be partnering with the South Central Institute of Technology and helping to shape the curriculum for digital skills. KPMG recognises that the UK workforce is very likely to require a greater proportion of digital skills in the future. In our view, the South Central Institute of Technology will not only act as a key learning centre to help to drive forward that strategy, but will also help to ensure that the UK is competitive in an ever-developing technological world. As an employer, we aspire to create a more diverse and inclusive workforce, and we recognise that a conventional route through university into professional employment is only one of a number of options available. We're truly excited to be partnering with the South Central Institute of Technology to work with the best and the brightest talent locally, enabling individuals to gain business skills alongside academic qualifications.
Welcome back. I'm delighted to introduce my next guest, John Adams from Activate Learning.
Thank you, Alex.
John, so this partnership between Milton Keynes College Group and Activate Learning to develop the South Central Institute of Technology, what does this mean for you and Activate Learning?
Well, I think it's great because when we look at the sectors that businesses in our local areas need, digital skills in the tech sector are absolutely the top priority. So having a partnership where we focus on that as a sector makes complete sense from our perspective. That's where the opportunities are for local young people in our area. I think also Milton Keynes, Oxford and Reading have a lot in common as cities. Their economies are very similar. They're all some of the highest performing cities in the UK, and they're all well known for science and technology jobs. So there's a real kind of synergy. You know, they're all in the Thames Valley. They're all either on the Oxford to Cambridge arc or sort of following a line along there. So they're all locations that are known for being strong in the technology sector.
Brilliant. And the opportunity then to form a digital institute of technology, what does that mean for the Thames Valley and specifically our three locations, Bletchley, Oxford and Reading?
Well, I think these are all areas where there's huge potential for growth. You know, the economies are thriving, but one of the biggest challenges they've got, certainly in the tech sector, is the ability to find skills. You know, businesses do report real challenges in recruiting staff with the necessary skills in this sector. So what we're really trying to do is attract people from different backgrounds who perhaps either don't think of studying at a higher level or don't consider jobs in the tech sector for them. that's what the businesses in these sectors have got to do if they're going to solve their skills and recruitment needs. So that's really what we see we're doing, is creating fantastic opportunities for young people, but also solving the skills shortages, the skills challenges that businesses in our area have.
Brilliant. And it's great to think about those sort of strategic talent pipelines and the development of sort of career pathways. What do you make of the way that we're working with industries and how they are contributing to the design, development and also delivery of the Institute of Technology?
Well, I think one of the things that businesses can do is attract students that normally might not think of studying at high levels. So they perhaps don't want to make that commitment to go away from home, study for 3 years at university with all the challenges that brings. They want to study in a different way, in a more practical way, in a way that feels relevant to the jobs market. And I think what really appeals to them is the idea that they will be highly employable at the end of it. They can see the direct link between the skills they're learning and the jobs that are available at the moment. And I think now more so than ever, it's a very difficult jobs market for young people entering the world of work. And I think seeing businesses so actively engaged in what we're doing really helps young people see that this is going to be an opportunity for them.
Yeah, we actually had Adam and Deborah on earlier who said exactly that, the opportunity to develop within those real world projects and have the industry experts delivering the learning, the practical problem solving and the challenges that students are facing, really contributing to the development of their knowledge, skills and behaviours. John, now you also form part of our anchor partner strategy group. We've had a number of our anchor partners who have featured throughout this afternoon. What does it mean to be an anchor partner for you personally?
First of all, I'd say it's been fantastic working with those business partners, and I think their commitment to the project's been really, really fantastic. The amount of time and effort they've given to supporting the setup of the project, committing their team's time to working with students, designing the curriculum has really, really been fantastic. So I think from our perspective, it's been really exciting to bring together the worlds of education and business, because I think what they absolutely bring is the ability to keep up to date with the latest technologies, the latest things that are happening in their sector in AI and data science, big data and so on, in a way that we in the education sector on our own just couldn't possibly do. So I think being involved with something right from the beginning that feels like it's really at the cutting edge of the direction that education needs to go in, I think has been really, really exciting.
Brilliant. And we're seeing those policy reforms, supporting the development and that working together of the ecosystem. Now, we talk about the ecosystem, including all of the anchor partners and the wider partnership network. What are the opportunities for people within the Thames Valley region and maybe beyond to be part of the Institute of Technology project?
Well, I think one of the exciting things is that by engaging with the Institute of Technology, they're not just engaging with one campus, one location. Many of the businesses that we work with will have either they'll have offices in more than one location, or they'll be open to remote working, home working increasingly. And so actually just working with one college in one location isn't necessarily going to be the best way to do it. So the fantastic opportunity, I think, for them really is they're tapping into a pipeline of talent in Milton Keynes and Reading and Oxford by engaging with the IoT.
And how about for our students? Obviously, they now form part of a much wider community, community of practice, community of study, community of learning, and community of ongoing development. What's the benefit for them for having these 3 campus locations?
One thing we probably learned in the last year or so is that students do often like being on a campus. So they like having their local community, their group of students, a cohort that they really build relationships with and get to know. But I think the beauty we've got with the IoT is they can still have that, but be part of a much wider network. So, we plan that we'll have live broadcast lessons from one campus to another, so that if we've got a particular expert on a particular subject who happens to be based in Reading or Milton Keynes, the students on the other campuses still get the benefit of that expertise. They can broadcast live to them. Or when businesses are engaging and they want to talk to our students, they can talk to all 3 campuses at once. I think also part of our job is about broadening horizons of students as well. And whilst they may live in Milton Keynes or Oxford or Reading, it may well be that the best career options for them aren't there in the future. It may be that the jobs they want are in one of the other locations. So I think helping them to build a network with businesses based in other areas beyond their immediate geography and with students beyond their immediate environment, I think is also just a part of broadening their horizons, because it might be the perfect job for them isn't local, it's in one of the other locations.
Yeah. It's a really interesting point, and the fact that we've all learned through this global pandemic that digital transcends geographical boundaries, and there's a real opportunity for our students, not only in the Thames Valley, but beyond, and the idea that we can bring in industry speakers, potentially even students from much further afield in the future. Can we hear a little bit more about the sort of the timeline and the opportunities for each of the campus locations?
Yep, so we're really excited. We're planning, Reading is going to be the first campus that we launch. So we've got some work going on over the summer to make the campus ready. So that launches in September of this year. And then a major building project at our Oxford Technology campus, which will go live in September 22. So that's going to be, in both cases, it'll be a range of higher education provision, full-time and part-time, and apprenticeships.
Fantastic. And to mirror exactly where we are sat right now, we have sort of our beta launch from the Bletchley campus, and we will be connecting each of those digitally through the coming months before we open our doors and have the building handover at our Bletchley campus in April of 2023. John, it's been a delight to catch up with you. It's great to hear more about the partnership and the opportunities for all of our students. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex.
Julie, I look forward to joining you in the studio.
Well, thank you, John and Alex. And thank you, Alex. By the power and magic of television, you've hot-footed it here into the studio to join Arv and myself to review, really, those amazing interviews that we've just heard. Thank you both so much for pulling those together. Before we head off into our live Q&A session. So we have had an amazing selection of brilliant interviewees, so much to take in, actually. Arv, you kicked us off by meeting with a group of inclusion activists, if you like, people who are working with us to really create something special at the South Central IoT. What stood out for you in that conversation?
I think for me, it really amplified the collaborative approach that we had throughout the project. And seeing it in glimpses in all the meetings that have led up to this moment, you don't really get the scope for that collaboration, and actually sitting there with the people that are on the interview, really finding out actually everybody has such a big part to play in where the IoT is today, and not just in terms of the funding, all those different aspects, but actually what's being taught, but also the relationships that they've formed within the IoT staff, but also the learners. And I think that's something that's fairly unique within the education sector, where you learn and get job ready at the same time. And I think that was the thing that really came through in the discussions that I'd had with the industry partners in the sessions I've had up until today. So that's something that I think should be applauded, and I think it will make it something that really shines a light on that collaborative approach towards education and employment.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Arv. Thank you. And there's definitely something about working together and bringing our expertise and specialisms to the table. We create something much better than if one of us had tried to do the whole lot on our own. So that came through really, really strongly for me. And Alex, you've interviewed lots of different people as we've been building towards this. Some of our key partners, employer stakeholders, and of course our students. Core messages for you, core themes coming out of that.
I think the one thing, or the thread that runs through everything, Julie, is about the development of opportunity. So our number one value by design is to include. And what we've done through all aspects of, as I've said, co-design, co-develop and co-delivery is created opportunities. Opportunities for our students, first and foremost, to sort of broaden their horizons, develop their knowledge, skills and behaviours. Opportunities for our anchor partners to help them develop strategic talent pipelines. We know that the digital sector is facing a recruitment challenge, especially the diversification of talent within the technology sector. And then a wider opportunity for all stakeholders throughout Milton Keynes, the wider Thames Valley, and the opportunity to grow and develop, learn those digital skills that are foundation to all careers, not only those looking for careers in the technology sector. So the big message for me that we've heard from everyone, including the interview that I did with Derma and John as well, was about creating opportunity for all stakeholders associated with the Institute of Technology.
Yeah, fantastic, and it really is mutually beneficial, isn't it? And as you say, so exciting to be working regionally with our partners and colleagues at Activate Learning in Oxford and Reading. And I think so powerful to hear directly from Dermot Turing, because that just reminds us of the legacy of why we chose Bletchley, of why it's important that we have that root in that very, very historic place, the home of computing in the world, really. Why do you think it's important that we make those connections between the work that went on at Bletchley Park and what we're trying to do to develop the digital visionaries of the future?
What I think is really important, as you say, in the home of computing, is that we have the heritage in terms of the home of code breaking and computational thinking, but it's also about creating legacy. We know that work that was undertaken had tremendous impacts, and actually the work that those our students, our partners, that is also going to have real lasting impact in developing the new age of creative problem solving, critical thinking, overcoming adversity. Our students and our partners will all be able to do that through their associations with the Institute.
Fantastic, thank you. And for me, that legacy is also about how back in the 40s, Bletchley Park was about people from very different backgrounds coming together to solve unique problems, to come at it from a different way, and the power of diversity. And that's absolutely coming full circle to where we started off with your interviews around inclusion. That's such a key driver for us and all of our partners at the Institute of Technology. So thank you both very much for working super hard to interview so many amazing people. And I know we've got the Q&A session coming up, which is an opportunity to hear from some more of our partners, but also to answer any of the questions you've got about the South Central Institute of Technology and everything that we stand for and everything we hope to do. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you in a few moments in the live, truly live, question and answer session. Thank you. Well, we're joined this afternoon by one of our great partners, Microsoft, and Lily is with us. And Lily is, in fact, an apprentice at Microsoft. So welcome, Lily. Thank you for joining us. And perhaps you could say a few words on why, for you, apprenticeships was the right choice and why other people should consider it. And perhaps also what you think your employer gets out of it.
How I feel about being an apprentice and why I chose this route, it's definitely a practical way to gain your qualifications. So I'm definitely more of a hands-on learner. Pick stuff up on the job a lot faster than I do sat in the classroom, but then you don't lose out on getting your qualifications. So that's why I've taken this route to be an apprentice myself. Obviously the uni alternative was an option as well, but I just found this was much more